Hello and welcome back to another video on the Football Zone and to a weekend review, reviewing all of this weekend's Premier League and Championship action, and the first of the New Year, starting off on New Year's Day, where, let's face it, there was a bit of a robbery at the Emirates as Arsenal were defeated in the last minute by Manchester City. Saka gave Arsenal the lead in the 31st minute after they should have had a penalty, but then City did get a penalty through Mahrez, and just 2 minutes after that, Gabriel was sent off. Rodri in the 93rd minute got the winner for Man City, and Arsenal played so well here. I mean, really, they were screwed by the referee. I feel sorry for Arsenal, but for Man City winning when they're not at their best. But moving on then, Watford 0, Tottenham 1 with a score at Vicarage Road. The only goal of the game coming in the 96th minute through Davinson Sanchez. And for me, Tottenham did leave it late, but it was a deserved win. They were basically all over Watford for the whole game, and in the end picked up the W. And for Tottenham, after that disappointing result at Southampton, they're really on the up now. Only a few places off the UCL spots. As for Watford, it's disappointing. I wonder how long Ranieri has left, to be honest. But moving on then, Crystal Palace 2, West Ham 3 was the score at Selhurst Park. Antonio Lanzini and Lanzini with from the spot, gave West Ham a 3-0 lead going into the break. Before Edouard gave Palace one back in the 83rd minute, and Elise in the 90th minute, he had a great impact when he came on, gave Palace the second. However, it was too little too late, and West Ham held on, and that's a big win for West Ham. 2 wins on the trot now, they're getting back to their best form now, but for Palace, it's disappointing the fight back started so late. But moving on then to Sunday's games, and this was a massive win for Leeds as they defeated Burnley 3-1. Goals coming from Harrison in the first half gave Leeds the lead. After the break, Cornet equalised for Burnley, and then goals from Dallas and James sealed the win for Leeds. And obviously Leeds hadn't played for a while with all the COVID disruptions and everything like that, but that is an absolutely massive win for them. Gives them some breathing space in the drop zone, above the drop zone. But for Burnley, that's a big loss. They need a run as well soon. But moving on then, Everton 2, Brighton 3 was the score at Goodison Park. McAllister gave Brighton the lead in the 3rd minute, and Byrne doubled it in the 21st minute. Calvert-Lewin on his return missed a penalty in the 25th minute before 2 goals from Gordon for Everton, but a McAllister goal meant that Brighton came away with a 3-2 win. Great win for Brighton. Obviously, after getting so long without a win, they've got a couple now in quick succession, which is good for them, and they're building a solid season once again. For Everton, another really, really disappointing result. But moving on then, Brentford 2, Villa 1 was a score at the Brentford Community Stadium. Ings gave Villa lead in the 16th minute before goals from Visa and Mads gave Brentford the win. A winner coming 7 minutes from time. And it's a solid win for Brentford, moves them up to 12th now, and they're 12 points go to the relegation zone, so I think they're looking pretty safe. For Villa, though, it's a bit disappointing. They are kind of dropping off after that fast start from Steven Gerrard, so they do need a win soon, you would probably say. Moving on then to a chaotic game at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 2, Liverpool 2 was the score. Liverpool raced into a quick lead with goals from Mane and Salah. Before 2 goals right on the strike of half-time from Kovacic and Pulisic equalled it up. And in the end, it was a lot quieter second half. But on the whole, I would probably say draw is about a fair result. It was a very, very even game. I think both sides would be disappointed though, because really they both need to win. That's how many chances catching Man City. Manchester United 0, Wolves 1 was the score at Old Trafford in the Premier League on Monday, and this was really, really poor from Manchester United. The only goal of the game coming in the 82nd minute through João Moutinho, and that's a big win for Wolves, moved them up to 8. It's only 3 points behind Man United with the same amount of games played. But for United, there were signs of improvement in their last match, but this was really, really poor. And the Ralph Rangnick era, for me, it just isn't really clicking at the moment, to be brutally honest. Moving on then, Blackpool beat Hull 1-0 in the Championship on New Year's Day, and this was a crucial result for Blackpool because obviously their form's been a bit topsy-turvy recently. The only goal game coming in the 31st minute through Gary Medine, but that's a big win for Blackpool. And as for Hull though, only 2 points from the last 4, lost the last 2, that's becoming a bit of a concern for Hull really. They don't want to get sacked back into the relegation zone, obviously after the brilliant run of form they just had. Moving on into Sunday's game, and Bristol City defeated Millwall 3-2 at Ashton Gate. Weimann gave Bristol the lead in the 7th minute before goals from Bradshaw and Afobe gave Millwall a lead, and yeah, they held on to it at the 73 minute until the 73rd and the 85th minute, where Vyman scored 2 to give Bristol City a win. And it was a huge win for Bristol, just moving them ever so far away from the relegation zone once again. For Millwall, though, it's another opportunity where they get close to the playoffs and they just falter again. So disappointing. Moving on then to a crazy end up the Hawthorns, where it finished West Brom 1, Cardiff 1. Cardiff took the lead in the 34th minute through Collins. Robinson equalised just 3 minutes after half time. Mowat then got sent off in the 76th minute, and there was a huge kerfuffle at the end of the game, which saw Flint and Johnston get sent off. The referee was a bit of a shambles here, it has to be said. But yeah, just on the game itself, really solid point for Cardiff. They'll be delighted with that. For West Brom, though, drop points against a team like Cardiff, they really can't afford that. Moving on then, and it was a rare time recently where Blackburn have dropped points. They drew 0-0 with Huddersfield, and Blackburn will be frustrated by this. I think they should have had a penalty really here too, but yeah, Blackburn were definitely the dominant team, and I think they'll be disappointed to not get the win, but they do move up into the auto, but Fulham do have 2 games in hand, so yeah, it is what it is for them really. As for Huddersfield, a really solid result, keeps them in the top 6. I don't think they would have really expected anything from this game, to be honest. But moving on then, Birmingham 1, QPR 2 was the score at St Andrews. Goals from Adoma and Willock gave QPR the lead, and then Anike pulled one back for Birmingham, but in the end it was QPR who held on, and another really solid win for Queen's Park Rangers. They'll be delighted with that, because obviously after that little break they had for COVID, they've now got a loss and 2 wins, so solid return. For Birmingham though, I think they'll be pretty disappointed with that one, won't they? Monday in the Championship, Reading 2, Derby 2 was the score at the Select Car Leasing Stadium. A brace from Junior Hoylett gave Reading a 2-0 lead heading into the final 5 minutes, when goals from Colin Kazim-Richards and Curtis Davids for Derby equalised the match. And for Reading, this was so disappointing. It looked like they're in control of the game, but Derby, as we've seen so many times this season, they're not going to give up. And in the end, it's a solid point for Derby, but for Reading, they really need to start holding on to leads. But moving on then to Stoke 1, Preston 2 at the Bet365 Stadium. Goals from Wilmot in the 46th minute and Potts in the 59th minute made it 1-1 heading into the last 10 minutes, when Hughes scored in the 81st minute for Preston to give them the win. And what a solid win this was for Ryan Lowe and his men. 2 wins on the trot for them now, although very much apart. For Stoke though, it's another disappointing result, and they need to turn their form around to stay in the mix for the playoff places. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, leave your thoughts, comments down below, follow on to links direct mode for daily football news, and subscribe to our channel and subscribe around, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.